You come from a family of Icelandic footballers, don't you? An absolutely rich heritage. I mean, it seems like nearly everyone in your family's played for Iceland.
Yeah, you could say that. I have a lot of family members who've played for the national team, played for clubs abroad, and very fortunate and very lucky to come from a family that knows what I'm going through here, and just major help.
Yeah, just tell me some of the ones that you do know. I mean, I appreciate there's lots and lots of names to remember, but obviously your immediate family, your dad played, and obviously your granddad, you had got uncles.
Yeah.
Just talk us through them.
So I think the main ones would I say, like my dad was a goalkeeper, played mainly back home, but played 2 years in Sweden as well, and won a lot of trophies back home. His brother, same name as me, Stefan Thordarson, played for Stoke, played in Norway a lot, Sweden. Then we have two brothers of my grandfather. They've both got, one of them's got like, I don't know, 70 national games, and the other one's got like 50 something. And that's Teitur Thordarson, who I'm named after. So yeah, it's and then my great grandfather. He was part of the first international team back home. He in his days. He would have been a professional, but back in that day it was more of a hobby than work back home in Iceland, and he had to think about the family. But yeah, just as I said, very fortunate to have all these role models in my family.
It really is wonderful. I mean, is it a case that in your family, as soon as you're born, a football's put right in front of you?
Yeah, I would say it is. It's from, you know, my hometown, Akranes. It's a lot of footballers come from there, and especially in my family, it's always been football, and you know, it's the one thing that's talked about when we get together during Christmas and everything. So it's great.
I'm just thinking that must be very rare. I mean, I can't think of any family that's got so many international footballers. Do you know of any others in Iceland or anywhere across the world?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is we got like a couple back home in Iceland. But maybe not from the world that I know of, but we got a couple families back home. But obviously as well, because we're such a small country, and then football just becomes this thing for certain families. And as you said, football is just put at your feet when you're born, and it just goes on. It's the only thing you really know, and the only thing I've known from a very young age.
And of course, your great uncle Teitur played for Feyenoord, didn't he?
Played for Feyenoord, played for Lens in France. He was, I think he was just behind Platini as the goal scorer in that league in the year he was there. So he's was a great goal scorer, and yeah, great person that I really look up to, and he's really one that's made a great career of football and after football as well. He's been national team coach for Estonia. He's been coach of Vancouver in Canada. So you know, there's so much football in the family, and it's amazing how abroad and everything is, and it's great.
Do you ever get a chance to catch up? I mean, I suppose everyone's all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I talked especially with my dad and my dad's brother a lot, who played for Stoke. I talked to them mostly, maybe once, twice a year when I meet my great uncles, and then we talk. But yeah, and then of course my grandfather who talks more to them, and he tells me what they're saying about everything, and it's good help.
Now tell me what it was like when you actually got called up to the Iceland team for the first time, because obviously that must have been a very proud moment for you to continue that family tradition. 100%.
It was a big thing for me and for my family. I was back in, was it 2019, I think, or 20? I can't really remember either year. And yeah, as I said, it was good when I got the phone call late in the evening that I was getting called up for national camp, and I won't forget the day. And it was we were playing 2 friendly games in LA, so not a bad place either to play your first 2 matches.
And of course, very recently, you played at Wembley Stadium against England, and you got one over us, didn't you?
Yeah, no, perfect. It was a great day for us, you know, coming to the great Wembley and playing against such a talented team. And I know it was maybe just only a friendly for England, but for us, it's it's a huge day for us, going and playing in front of 85,000 or what it was that day, and just enjoying the day at Wembley. It was great.
Now, when you were growing up in Iceland, who were the sort of players that you looked up to?
I would say mainly when I was younger, we watched Eidur Johnson when he was playing in Chelsea, Barcelona. I mean, he's the greatest Icelandic player ever, I would say. And luckily I've had him as my under-21 coach, so you can see how small the nation is back there. You really, if you say a name, if I don't know him personally, then I know someone who knows him personally. So it's a small nation, but thankfully I've got in touch with how he was as a player and how he was as a coach, and it's a huge inspiration. I would say mainly him. I mean, coming from Iceland and going and being in that Barcelona team is amazing.
I actually went to the Euros in 2016, and I actually covered all the pre-stuff for Iceland leading into that England game out in the Nessie, beautiful part of the world actually, and obviously a very famous victory. I'm assuming that must have been your favourite moment watching Iceland.
Yeah, you won't forget that day. We delayed our training that day, watched the game, and it's 100% the biggest day in sports back home in Iceland. It's because we look very much up to England, and I've said it in some interviews that the English Premier League is bigger back home than the Icelandic League. People follow more United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal than they do maybe their own team. So going there in 2016 and beating England, it's and you were asking about heroes and that when growing up, and looking at that 2016-2018 national team, it's an inspiration for us players that play in the national team now, and to try and get to World Cup or Euros, because we've seen what it does to a whole generation of footballers and the whole country.
Can I ask you what you were doing that day? Obviously watching that game. Where were you watching, and what was it like? Were you doing the thunderclap? I had work in the morning. I was 17, and then we had training, and I remember it because we had one Englishman in the team, and we all came in the Icelandic shirt and he came in the England shirt, and we watched it in this lounge where we trained, and the team watched it together, and it's a memory that will stick with you forever. Now, obviously, you've played a couple of Premier League teams already this season. There was the famous one against Fulham with the penalty shootout. I know you weren't involved because you'd been taken off in that one, but then, of course, there was the Arsenal game, wasn't there, as well? And now this one against Aston Villa. How exciting is this for you personally? And does this get a lot of traction in Iceland? Are people looking out for it? Yeah,
it really does. As I said, we watched the English league very much in the FA Cup as well, and I think these games are the reason why I wanted to come to England. These games I wanted to play against the best, and I want to try and get as high up as I can here in England, and hopefully that will be with Preston. And we've shown that we can compete with the likes of Fulham when we played at home, but we know that Aston Villa are a top European team. We can see that in the Champions League, and with the players that they bring in, and they've got a great coach as well. So it will be a really difficult task, but we will do everything we can to spoil their day.